Good afternoon, Piney Point Beacons. Happy Valentine's Day to y'all from No Time to Cook. And thank a parent and or a teacher for putting this together for you guys. My name is Chef Bonnie McGraw. I work here at No Time to Cook. And I have the privilege of making a Valentine's Day treat with you guys. Today we're going to do pavlovas, which is an sugared egg white meringue thing that you bake, and it's going to end up looking like this. So it's a little crunchy on the outside, but it should be kind of marshmallowy on the inside, which will be fun. And we're going to fill it with a raspberry grapefruit curd. Or if you don't want to make your own curd, you can get lemon curd from the grocery store. And then I also put in a variance for you on the grapefruit and raspberry curd. You can do like a blueberry and blood orange curd. You can basically incorporate any citrus and fruit that you want. So we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But pavlova is a slow food, so it's going to take 75 minutes in the oven to cook, and then you have to let it sit in there with the oven off for an additional 30 minutes. So we're going to kind of piece this video together, trying to keep it within 30 minutes for you guys. But we are going to start with the pavlova recipe. So on your recipe, I gave you guys an equipment list and then like your ingredients. So if you haven't already gathered your equipment and your ingredients, I'm going to recommend that you pause the video and go grab that stuff. And also while you have it paused, if you haven't already gotten a piece of parchment paper and drawn hearts on it, go ahead and do that too. And I always recommend that you read the recipe in its entirety before you start baking. So you might read it, grab your ingredients, grab your equipment, draw some hearts on a piece of parchment paper, and then meet me back here. All right, so moving on, there are three things, or rather a couple of things that you need to know on having pavlova success. So you really want your eggs to be at room temperature. If yours are cold, like if you just brought them out of the refrigerator, you can put them in a bowl and just put some warm tap water over them to help them warm up a little. But you do want your eggs to be room temperature. I have 4 here just in case I have an accident with one. You might want to do that as well. And then one other thing that really helps with pavlovas is that you make sure that your bowl and your whisk that you're going to be whisking the egg whites with are completely clean. So what I recommend doing just to be sure is either you can take, I had this naked lemon in the refrigerator that I'm going to use, but if you don't have something like this, I would then recommend like a vinegar, so like a white vinegar or apple cider or something like that. And you're just going to squeeze a little bit of that in your bowl. And let me grab a napkin. And just kind of wipe it around, and that acid is going to make sure that there is no, oil or anything like that in there. Because if there's any oil in there, it will prevent your egg whites from getting to stiff peaks, and then you'll be wondering what's going on, and you might have to start over. Oh, you probably really likely will have to start over. All right, so I wiped that out, and then just going to give my whisk a quick wipe down too to make sure that it's good to go as well. All right, so happy with those 2 things. I'm now done with my cutting board, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. And if you have those plastic cutting boards like that, one of the tricks that we like here to do in the kitchens is to take a wet paper towel and stick it underneath the cutting board, and that kind of prevents it from sliding around. Other perk is that you then have this thing to clean your work surface with afterwards. All right, so we're going to go ahead and mise en place all of our ingredients, and basically what that means is that you're just getting everything in its place. So first step is the 3 large egg whites. Okay, so I'm going to put the egg whites directly into my bowl, but I'm going to crack them, and I'm going to use this egg separator. Maybe your parent has one of these in their kitchen. It's just kind of a fail-safe thing for me. I feel like I get nervous around eggs, and they can sense that, and they do bad things. So I like to use the egg separator just for peace of mind, and I know I'm not gonna, crack the yolk and mix it in with the egg white. So I do recommend cracking and getting your egg white into a separate bowl to begin with, just in case if you get, look at my yolk, he's coming out. All right, we're gonna put him over there. Just in case you get any egg yolk in it, because you can't have egg yolk with your pavlova. Or if you break a shell, then you can get the shell out. So I had success, no egg yolk in here, no shell, so I'm gonna go ahead and dump that into my bowl. All right, and then moving on, same thing with the next 2 eggs. And interestingly enough, old eggs tend to work better when you're making meringue or the pavlovas like we're doing today, so that anytime you need a stiff egg white, beaten older eggs are gonna, for whatever reason, just work out better for you. Okay, again, checking it for egg yolk or eggshell. I don't have any of that in there, so I can go ahead and dump that egg white into the mixing bowl. Last one. So I heard you guys just started going back to school again in person 2 days a week. I hope that is exciting for you guys and is working out well. It's got to be nice to see your friends again. Again, looking good, no egg yolk, no shell, so that's going in. All right, so that's all we need to begin with. And I'm gonna hook it up to my KitchenAid mixer over here and run it on high. And it's just gonna get nice and frothy with us to begin with, and then we're gonna start adding sugar to it. So placing that over here. So while this is spinning, I'm going to go ahead and use some plus the other ingredients. Right, so we need 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. So go ahead and get a heaping 1/4 cup, and then I like to use the back side, the flat side of the butter knife, and go ahead and shave that off. I think I got a little chunk in there. All right, and then place that in another bowl. 2 more to go. And last one. All right, so there's our sugar. We also need a teaspoon of cornstarch. And I'm going to use that same leveling technique, so grabbing that butter knife and just leveling it off. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So our vanilla and cornstarch are going to go in at the same time, so I'm just going to put them in the same bowl. And actually, these 2 things aren't even necessary to make a pavlova. But anytime you can add flavor, you want to go ahead and do that. So we're going to use vanilla, and you could use any flavor here, really. You know, like almond flavoring would be nice, lemon flavoring would also be nice, lavender would even be nice. All right, so there we go. Done and done. Now, one thing I will tell you, I'm going to turn off the mixer. Whenever you use and plus vanilla extract, you really should cover it because vanilla will evaporate. And we're not going to use this immediately, and so I'm going to cover it because I don't want our vanilla to evaporate and run away from us. All right, so moving back to our egg white mixture, I'm going to bring it over here and show it to you guys. So right now it's just kind of nice and white and fluffy. It's not stiff. But this is what you're looking for, kind of this consistency before you start adding your granulated sugar. So I'm going to take it back over here, and I'm just going to slowly incorporate the sugar while the mixer is running, okay guys? So you can do that as well. And go ahead and go all the way high. to the back room, so it's not, in our way while we're communicating with each other. But I am going to wipe it down real quick just to get the sugar that kind of escaped the bottom of the bowl back in there. And then you're going to let this go for 10 minutes. And it should be a nice stiff egg white. And what I forgot to mention earlier is that if you don't have a KitchenAid mixer like this, you can use a stand mixer, a handheld mixer with the normal attachments for it. It's probably just going to take you a little longer to get to stiff egg whites. But we'll talk about the consistency that you're looking for whenever we bring this back out. So thanks, Cecilia. You can take that. So she's going to take it. She's going to put a timer on for 10 minutes for us. And I'm just going to tidy up here real quick, and we are going to move on to the next recipe, which is the grapefruit and raspberry curd while our egg whites are mixing up. So I hope you saved your egg yolks, because you will end up needing those. Let's see here. I got a little egg white left in mine, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't. Sometimes you can just hold them and jiggle that egg yolk or egg white out, because we don't need that for the curd. This egg white's really attached. Doesn't want to leave his yolk from the egg white. All right, there we go. That's better. Okay, now my hands are all gross, so let me clean them up. All right, so moving right along here, don't need this egg, putting it back in the fridge. Moving to the next recipe. Okay, again, provided you an equipment list and an ingredient list, so go ahead and pause the video again and make sure you go grab all your ingredients and your equipment, and then you can start it back up. And I will be right here. I'm going to grab mine. I already pulled everything out. Okay. So, like I was saying, here's, the lemon curd that you can get from this store. So I have some of that. This is the blueberry blood orange grape or curd that I made, and it's this really pretty purple, also kind of fun for Valentine's Day. And the one that we're going to make today will be a pink color, as you will shortly see. So I'm just going to remove all my garnishes for later. I got some mint and raspberries and blueberries. Got my juicer. Damp paper towel again I'm going to put down, and then we're going to go ahead and again start just by mixing and tossing all of our ingredients. Alright, so here I have a partially naked grapefruit, which is perfect. Here's my zester. If you don't have a microplane zester like this, oftentimes like a cheese grater will have a finer grate, or even like a box grater, you can use this side. So different options there, and or the zest isn't necessary for the recipe. So if you just want to skip that step, that's okay as well. I just like to use it because there's a lot of health benefits to citrus zest. It actually can help repair your DNA, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to zest until I get about a teaspoon, and then I'm going to put this into a little prep bowl for later. And then we'll cut our grapefruit in half and juice it. You only need a half a cup, and we'll probably honestly be able to get a half of a cup from half of a grapefruit. All right, so got my zest there. I'm just going to empty it into this bowl, and that looks like a healthy teaspoon to me. I'm gonna set that aside. All right, moving on. Need a knife, which I placed over here. All right, so before you cut your grapefruit, and also I think it's really important to zest it before you juice it. It's kind of hard to zest a juiced grapefruit, or any citrus for that matter. But go ahead and give it kind of a roll under the palm of your hand and press it a little bit. And this is just going to help get the max juice out of this grapefruit. All right, so I think that feels good. Cutting in half. There we go. And you always want to use a cutting board anytime you're cutting with your knives, just to maintain that sharp edge on your knife. And then I'm going to give it a good juice here. Couple seeds. I'm just going to fish that out with this teaspoon. All right, and then we need half of a cup, so I'm going to pour it into my liquid measuring cup here. Oh, I'm just shy. Let's see if I can't get any more juice out of this grapefruit. There it is. All right. Once again, I'm done with my cutting board, so I'm just going to move this guy out of the way. And wipe out my area. All right. So then you need 6 ounces of raspberries. I've already rinsed these off, and we're going to add the raspberries and the grapefruit to a blender, or if you have a food processor, you can use that as well. And then we're going to whiz it up until it's juice and all combined. All right, going to liquefy. I'm going to go ahead and just go for it. Loud noises! Pretty happy with that. I'm just going to move my cookie sheet and bring my saucepan with a sieve on top of it. So we're going to go ahead and just sieve out those seeds. We don't want those in our curd, the raspberry seeds. All right, get all that goodness in there. And I got a little ahead of myself because we didn't completely mise en place everything, but that's okay. We'll get back to that now that this step is done. All right, so you're going to go ahead, because it's all kind of sitting up here, you're going to have to just move it around to get those seeds out of the way. And eventually all you'll be left with is like the pulp, the seeds, and whatever in it, liquefy. We're going to throw that away. All right, so let's see, what else do we need to get together for our ingredients? So we'll need 1/2 cup of sugar, 4 teaspoons of cornstarch, a pinch of salt, and our egg yolks, which we already have. So not much. It got me, you guys. I got splattered by some raspberry grapefruit puree. But it's a nice pretty color, isn't it? It smells so good. Hope you guys are having the same experience there at home. All right. Scrape the bottom to get the rest of this goodness in there. And then all I have left is just like the seeds. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm going to dump those out, give this a rinse, and then place it over a bowl because we'll need this one more time. let's see where we are on our recipe. All right, so we're gonna add the grapefruit zest, which we did earlier, okay? And I'm just gonna go ahead and add these ingredients directly to our saucepan. All right, so we need half of a cup of sugar. And again, I got my butter knife so I can level that off. I'm gonna add that in. We need our cornstarch. 4 teaspoons of this. Does anybody know how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon? There are 3. So you could do a tablespoon and 1 teaspoon and it would be the same thing. 1. 2. 3. And 4. Alright. And then last but not least, our salt. So this will just enhance the flavor of our curd. Small little pinch, all it takes. And then we're gonna place. Alright guys, we're back. Sorry, I had to pause for a quick second to go check on our egg whites. They were nice and stiff, and we added the cornstarch and the vanilla to them, and then returned them to a high speed, because when you do that, it's going to kind of deflate your egg whites, and you really need them nice and stiff in order to pipe them. So they're sitting over there, and we'll get to those in a second. For now, we're going to go ahead and finish with our grapefruit and raspberry curd recipe. So the last thing we added was salt, and now we're going to add in our egg yolks. Okay, and then we're going to turn this on to a medium heat and just whisk all that until it's nice and combined and incorporated.
Start doing live trains.
And I am happy with it being incorporated, so I'm going to switch from the whisk to my spatula, which I like this spatula because it has a corner in it, which allows you to kind of get into the corners. So this process is going to take about, 3 to 4 minutes, just depending on how high your heat is. And you're just looking for it to thicken up and to kind of cook some of that egg yolk as well. But you want to keep stirring while you do that, just to prevent the egg yolk from curdling, if you will. So anyway, it's a nice, vibrant pink color. Pretty excited about it. All right. Okay. Sorry, y'all. My phone started ringing. I should have known to turn that off. Cecilia's helping me out there. All right. So I'm just going to grab a spoon, because this is starting to thicken up really nice for me, and I want to show you guys what you're looking for to know that your curd is set and ready. All right, so you're going to take a spoon, just dip it in there, and then you're going to take your finger and you're just going to draw a line through your curd, and if that line holds, then you know you're set. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off here, because I like the way that is looking. And we will go ahead and once more run it through our sieve. And then I'm going to hand this over to my trusty cooking assistant. And she is going to add 3 tablespoons of diced butter to it, which is going to give it a nice and creamy texture. And then when she's done with that, she will put a piece of saran wrap on it while it, just kind of chills and comes to room temperature. That saran wrap, you're going to actually mash all the way down up against the curd to prevent it from forming a skin. So Cecilia, let me give this to you. And then there's the saran wrap for you, sweetheart. Thank you for your assistance. All right, so while I paused our video, I also cleaned up my work surface for the next exciting part. This is probably the fun part of this. If you didn't enjoy anything else, I think you'll probably enjoy this step. So I'm just going to whiz this one more time. Thank you, Cecilia. All right, guys, so now we got this nice, stiff-ish egg whites. What you want to do, too, is just squeeze them in between your fingers, and you shouldn't feel any, singular granule of sugar, if you will. And that's how you also know that it is ready to go. And we're going to fill out some piping bags here. So, as mentioned on the recipe, if you don't have a piping bag, you can use a sandwich bag. So I'm going to show you both of those techniques. So I'll put some of this into each bag. Okay. Try to get as most of the air out as you can. And then go ahead and, if you have one that's got a Ziploc on it, go ahead and zip it. It'll prevent the egg white from coming out the top while you're squeezing, which is nice too. And then for my piping bag, I'm going to use a star tip just to give some texture to the end of the pavlova. And I'm also going to preheat my oven while I'm thinking about it to 225 degrees. All right, so when you don't have a buddy, which hopefully you guys all have a buddy with you, you can always use a cup to put your piping bag into to help fill it. It's hard to do just one person, but if you have a buddy, one of you can hold it while the other fills. All right. So like I said earlier, you can make one ginormous pavlova. You could just do one big heart, or you can do these mini ones, which is fun, and you can give to people for Valentine's Day. All right. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of our favorite tools in the kitchen here. It's called a bench scraper. But anything with a flat edge will do. And I'm just going to use it to gather all this egg white down into the corner. Okay. And then you want to cut just a little off, as little as you can. So maybe no more than a centimeter up from the corner. Because you can always cut more off, but you can't reverse that, So we don't need a huge hole. And then, to help yourselves out, you're going to just put a dab in each corner to act as glue to hold your parchment paper down so that it doesn't swirl around on you while you're trying to pipe hearts. All right, nice. So it's glued down. I'm going to get rid of my stencil because we don't need that anymore. And then I like to trace the outside of the heart first and then work my way into the center. So I will use the hand that you write with to squeeze and go around. And you can use the other hand to kind of guide your piping bag as well. And you really do kind of want to squeeze from the top. Otherwise, half the egg white will go up there and half of it comes down here and you got to regather it. So squeeze from the top. And then last but not least, you're gonna just go around the perimeter one more time, kind of give your heart some dimension on the outside and leaving kind of like a bowl on the inside, because that's where the curve is gonna go. All right, and then you just keep on going till you run out. Now, depending on how heavy you are in your piping, you should be able to get, if you do 4-inch hearts like I have here, you should be able to get 6. I got 6 yesterday, and then I had some left over. But you might only end up with 4, again, depending on, who's squeezing. Cool. So I'm just going to use up the rest of this and then switch over to my other piping bag. All right. And then meringue is like unforgiving in the oven. So once you have your stuff piped on here, if you don't like the way it looks, it's not going to get better in the oven. But you can use a wet finger, which I'll show you here in a little bit, to kind of get rid of any, like maybe peaks or something that you don't want at the end. All right. All right, and then I gotta cut the tip off of this guy too. All right, there we are. All right, cool. All right, so now I'm gonna go around the perimeter with this star tip, which is just fun. It just gives some dimension, something different to look at. All right. Are you guys having fun? I think this is really fun. It's kind of, for me anyway, could be really like meditative, honestly, but it's, it's kind of therapeutic. There's something nice about piping. See if I can't get one more. Might be a struggle this go around. I did have some of that extra egg white that I had to get rid of from the egg yolk, so might not have had a full 3 egg whites in my recipe this time. So that can affect it too. The size of your egg white will affect it. I don't think I'm gonna have enough. I'll just, squeeze what I have in there. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to fill this cup with some water and grab a spoon and just show you guys how you can, kind of manipulate your hearts a little bit. So, like on mine, this kind of got a little jagged on that side, and maybe you like that, you could keep it, but if you wanted to kind of just straighten it out, you can take the back of the spoon and just give it a nice fix. And or, like maybe you actually want some more depth, so you could just scrape the spoon in there to give, like a bigger bowl. And maybe you want to put some tips on the side of it or something, give it some peaks. You can play around with it a little bit. But it'll pretty much bake up exactly the way that you put it in there, which is exciting. I feel like that now looks like a dinosaur's back or something. I don't know what I was going for there, but anyway. So actually, let me go ahead and I'll just fill this in, and this one will be flat, but that's okay too. Doesn't have to have a bowl. All right, killer. All right, so I'm gonna stick this in the oven. It's going in for 75 minutes, and don't be tempted to open the oven door. It needs to stay shut the whole time. All right, so my timer's going. All right, so now comes the fun part, y'all. I'm just gonna clean up my work surface a little bit here because I got sticky egg white all over the place. All right. Pull out a couple plates. We have a phantom oven. here, you guys. It likes to turn off on me every once in a while, and I just noticed that it did that again. Hope you don't have that at your house. And I'm going to start this oven again. All right. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these, put it on my plate, grab another spoon. Actually, I'll probably grab several spoons. One for your different options. So I'm going to use this blueberry and blood orange curd on this one. Just going to feed it into the middle. I guess my oven doesn't want to bake today. It keeps turning off. Oh. All right. Let's see. Cool. So there's that one. Pretty color. And I'm going to add some lemon curd to one. Spoon. And for your garnish, you guys, like I have just blueberries and raspberries, but you could use strawberries, you could use blackberries. It's your world, squirrel. You pick your favorite fruit and go with it. All right, got some of that. And then the curd that we made today, this lovely pink raspberry grapefruit one. It's gonna look pretty on there too. So this one's still a little warm, and I would probably caution you guys to let it cool a little longer. But for the sake of finishing up this video, I'm going to go ahead and pour it on. Wobbly. All right. So then the fun part, you get to garnish. So I'm just going to pile them on kind of sporadically on this pink one. Do some raspberries too. Maybe a couple more. The blueberries got away from me. Make a blue raspberry. I don't know what you can call that. You can have a little fun. And then maybe you want to, garnish with a little mint. For some green color. Let's see. I think for this purple one, the blueberries might not show up so well, so I'm just going to use the raspberries. This time I'm going to turn them upside down and just kind of go around the perimeter. But I'll be interested to see what you guys end up doing. Cool. And then for this lemon one, I'll do a pattern. Cool. Maybe just one more. Stick a blueberry in the center. Cool. I'm going to give you some mint too. Awesome. So those are they. And then this is the one that I used that just had the leftovers in it. Was my leftover meringue from the last time I made it. And I just made a mound. And what you can do is kind of crack that. And then you can fill it with curd, which is fun. And you could also make some like whipped cream or use some Weddy Rip or something like that. And then, yeah, wow, this is taking all the curd. But you can even like just let it, kind of lazily come out the top too. And just kind of drip down, which is fun. And top that with some, like whipped cream, and add some more berries, some mint. I don't have whipped cream today, but you kind of get the point. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this cooking demonstration, and I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' creations and what you come up with. Thanks for joining me today, and a big happy Valentine's Day to the Piney Point Beacons. Take care, you guys.